What's up, everybody? We're still on this countdown to Remember the Time, February 10th. And this gem that I want to drop is Conquer the Moment. And what I mean by that is challenges. When challenges come your way, you don't back down from it. You be ready so that you don't have to get ready. So I'll talk about the challenge of verses with Babyface and myself was very huge. And had I not prayed on it and jump around in the room, start boxing, it just made you feel like you got to get ready for a beast like that. My brother is a beast, and I just say, you know what, I'm gonna still do it. Some of my friends called Andre Harrell, and Breon was like, yo, I'm coming, I'm gonna be there with you. I'll be a dancer, whatever. But the one thing that made it so successful was all of the different moments in there where you had the Teddy Riley internet, and it was COVID time. It was like, wow, everybody's in the house watching this. And we got over 8 billion instances. They didn't want people to know that because we broke the internet like no other. So that's what I mean by conquer the moment and find that moment and you just go for it. But be ready. All right? And you'll read more about that right here.
They're all our friends. Teddy Riley being one of them, one of my favorite producers, very technical, very savvy with his technology, very funky, very good with the songwriting, and Ellie and Babyface, who are just phenomenal songwriters and producers. I wish I wrote it, but one record I think changed the way I looked at music was Teddy Riley's when he wrote Peace with I Want Her.
I wanna, because that was the beginning of New Jack Swing. It was a real,
and that came out and that blew me away. And I said, "Oh my God, where's that coming from? And how's that happening?" And so that was all part of, So when we were writing every little step and Don't Be Cruel, we had to think, dang, we got to compete with that. Mm-hmm. And it didn't seem so. I kind of like ran the other way instead of ran towards it because he just, he was amazing. I thought that was amazing.
Jerry Lewis said that Teddy was one of the most technical people he'd ever seen when it comes to programming and stuff like that. And John Marie talks about how he was probably the best engineer mixer, then better than anyone else. I mean, was he just all around just
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, pick one. LeBron James, just pick one. That's who he was musically.
Wow.
Who changed the game? I mean, whoever changed the game in any arena, that's dude. When I realized he did the show, Dougie Fresh, I felt so stupid.
It was definitely Teddy Riley and Quincy Jones, hands down. Those two were my, that was the goals for me. You know what I'm saying? Those were the guys that I aspired to be, that I looked up to and I studied. But unfortunately, Namdi, I was able to sit in studios with Teddy many nights. He would allow me to. He was at Soundtrack Studios or whatever studio he was working at during the time. I was in the rooms and even at his apartment sometime. I would go and watch him work and
St.
and
Nick's?
he was just no, there wasn't, not even in St. Nick's after he had moved.
Okay. I think
up in the Upper West Side, on a West Side Highway, because we used to race out cars on the West Side Highway, just doing what crazy kids do. But I had the opportunity of watching him work, and that is what inspired me to do what I do.
Teddy could do everything himself. Teddy didn't need me. He didn't need Mucho. He didn't need Spragg. He didn't need Pharrell. He didn't need anyone. He could do it all himself. He only brought us on because the bandwidth grew.
Yeah.
Once the bandwidth grew, it's like you're more in demand, so you got to create a team now.
Teddy's like one of the most incredible musicians probably to ever live. One of the best producers to ever live. And I remember walking in. I met at the time. You had like all of Blackstreet was there. Pharrell and Chad at the time are all in this camp. Leon Silvers, who from the '80s, he's there.
Wow.
Jean-Marie Horvat.
Yeah, Jean-Marie.
Jean-Marie was there. Like all these, we're all in Virginia at the same time trying to figure it out. Timberland is around there. Like, oh,
Wow.
And that was such a moment for me. And Teddy told me, man, you can come down here anytime you want. And I would come down and I would be down there. And anytime Teddy's like, yo, you got something you want to play me? Whenever I play it and hear it in because he had the best sound in the world. And I'm listening, I'm like, yo, I know I'm listening to my own music in the studio. I'm like, oh, this sounds incredible. And then soon as Teddy pressed play or whatever he was working on after me, oh my gosh, I'll be like, I shouldn't have played that. Like,
but they used to mix super loud, and if he sees this, he'll laugh.
Rodney Jerkins has said the same thing. Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah. So when I met John Marie, he was mixing "Remember the Time."
Wow.
And I was like, damn. Like, first of like, no one had heard this. I'm like, this is crazy. Michael Jackson's about like, wow, like this is about to go bananas. And Teddy at the time was like, notice I said Jean-Marie was there.
Yeah.
Because Teddy would like wake up at like noon and go hang out at the mall until like 7, put his kids down, hang out with his kids, pick them up from school, whatever he did. And then he would start recording sessions at like 1 a.m.
I would watch Teddy work on, I never forget watching him doing the My Love remix for Mary J. Blige. And at the same time, he's working on a Patti LaBelle remix, All This Love, or whatever it was.
Yeah, All This Love.
Or he's working on this, he's working on 3 to 4 or 5 songs in the same day, right? So when it's time for him to go see his kids or go bowling or whatever it was, that's when Dave Wade or the rest of the guys would pull the other ones on and work on that. It was just a bandwidth thing. Right? Because he has so much going on. But I'm telling you right now, I was there. He could do it himself.
He did a track right in front of me. And I didn't know the energy that you put into music when you create like that. I was more like a straight face type of guy. I wasn't in the studio like enjoying it. It was the first time I seen somebody like Willian in the studio. These references I give were like, you know what I mean? Like he was producing, but he was Willian, it was on one wheel with the handlebars crossed with one hand up, like he was just clowning.
Wow.
And it was slapping I watched him construct it and I still remember that track to this day, man. And after I saw him, how he constructed the drums, the intricacies of these sounds that he would use, the samples that he would creating samples, the technical side of it, using Pro Tools, creating on Digital Performer, having rack mounts of stuff, all wired together, running a fully automated studio. Like, this was mind-blowing.
Wow.
And he was commanding that place like it was nothing. And
what was it like working with Teddy and on that track in A Rush?
And one, it was surreal to show up. First of all, his studio is called The Future.
The Future, yeah.
And it was every bit the future. When you walk in there, there's stuff going on that you've never seen before. It's like I walked into the future. It's crazy, right? So we record the song, and I did the demo. I sung the demo, and so when I got to Virginia Beach, I had this 2-inch tape reel with the track on it, and he wanted to change some things, so I bought that, and I had discs with me. I need a drum machine. He doesn't have any of those things.
Wow.
Teddy's been recording digitally since the late 80s and hasn't used drum machines since the late 80s. He doesn't even know he had to drive around and have somebody find an Akai MPC 60 or 3000 for me to work on because he hasn't used it in that long. I'm like, well, what do you do? How do you make these beats? He was like, I use computers. I didn't even know I didn't even know that existed. He was using Pro Tools in 1998 before anybody had it. It wasn't even called Pro Tools yet. It was called Sound Tools, and he was a beta tester.
Wow.
He was at one big studio with all this stuff in it. And it was a smaller studio. When he pressed one button, all these things would light up as the Total Recall room. And then he had a tour bus with a studio on the tour bus. You know, it was just, oh man, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It was freezing in there. I remember that studio was so cold.
When you heard Groove Me, what was your initial thoughts?
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I remember Groove Me like I remember hearing Remember the Time for the first time when Teddy did Michael. Them drums and that swing. Oh my God. I was like, this guy is brilliant. And it just shifted the sound of Black music 100%, hands down. It shifted the sound.
You know, my favorite producer is Teddy Riley.
Oh my God, can we just have a moment? I cannot tell you how many hours in the studio I've spent trying to get that goddamn Teddy Riley snare. He is, I mean, we're touching someone, we just talked Jay Dilla. You know, this is, you're going straight to if you ask who's your all-time, Teddy Riley, by far, is my biggest inspiration.
Wow.
So sorry, I just needed a moment.
Did you know him did you know about him when you were in Denmark, about the whole New Jack and Keith Sweat and the Heavy D and the hip
Absolutely.
and Kumo D? And
I knew him the first time I started hearing that sound. The first time I hear the sound of hip hop collaborating with R&B was Al B. Shore.
Okay.
You know, that's Kyle West, but Teddy is actually involved in that record too.
I've interviewed Kyle West. Kyle West, one of my good friends. I love Kyle, and he talked about, you know, Teddy in the studio and that's watching him and stuff. So, yeah. So your first time
and I don't know if you know, Teddy Riley also did Doggy Fresh the show. I didn't even know that.
He was the whole the whole Inspector Gadget stuff and the whole keeping the flow going.
So trust me, you know, as soon as that, especially when Al B. Shore came out, I was on, and when Guy came out, it was over. You know, but all his remixes, everything we can talk about Teddy from now. I need to get a bottle of wine or something. We'll sit and chat in front of the fire.
You can go ahead and do that.
Was Teddy Riley was signed, you know, and it's not easy to get to that point and to get the respect from my peers, you know, the other producers in the industry, people that I looked up to, you know, Jimmy Jam and Teddy Riley, you know, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Teddy Riley and LA and Babyface. Now I'm meeting these people and I get the respect from them. So it was overwhelming, to say the least. It really was.
So cold in there. But he basically acted as an engineer. He was recording, and I was directing the singer. At the time, it was Eric from Black Street. You know, I was singing a song. We did it over a couple of days. And while I was in there doing that, the songwriter I mentioned before, her name is Tamara Savage. She was with me. She was writing to another track on the tour bus. It was a song called "Take Me There" that they used for the Rugrats.
Oh yeah, with Maya. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was writing that song while I was recording vocals in the studio in the Rush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I've interviewed even some of Teddy's former producers and engineers, they said he's probably one of the best mixers and engineers. Forget about producer, but that he almost, because he had so much work, he has engineers. But when it comes to mixing and engineering, he's probably one of the best out there.
The best, man. Like you couldn't. Yeah, he's the best. He's still. I recently worked with him again.
The Walls Group or something?
The Walls Group, yeah. They wanted to do like a 90s style track, so I did it. Sent it to them, they sung it. And I said, I'm not gonna mix it yet. Let me see if I can get Teddy to get involved. I called him. He said, man, send it over. I sent it to him. He calls me back. I'm thinking maybe he'll play Talkbox on it, and something like that. He calls me back and says, "How far can I go?" When he asked me that question, I knew he liked the song and he wanted to put his foot in it. I said, "Oh shoot!" I said, "Teddy, go as far as you want to go. I don't care, man. Do what you want to do." I mean, he understood. Like, do we have the money to pay a Teddy Riley? No. This is a gospel project. We got 2 nickels to rub together in this budget, man. But the fact that he did that, and basically, I was scrambling even trying to pay him because it's kind of like trying to figure out. He said, "Man, don't worry about it.
Wow.
Just generally, like, don't." He said, "I don't care." Like, I said, "Wow, man."
And at one point, we had talked about doing a group, a duo. We were going to call it TR2. But I remember at one point, he said, we were talking, and he said, "Yeah, I'm using such and such now." He would just tell me what he's using, and then he said, "Yo, get a drive and meet me at the house. I'll give you a bunch of sounds," which was unheard of because when I remember one time I tried to get some sounds from somebody, they act like you're going to use the sounds in the same exact way. Teddy does that. Teddy will tell me what he's using. He'll tell me who to call so I can get hooked up. I remember when I first started messing with Pro Tools. He said, "Look, just call them and tell them who you are. They'll hook you up." I'm like, "Just like that?" He said, "Yeah." I called him, told him who I was, and that's exactly what happened. And so from that point on, Teddy would always tell me, he'd be like, "Hey, what you working with now?" And I would say, I remember at one point when I started working with Reason and combining Reason with my MPC and Pro Tools. That's what Teddy told me. That's what he was doing. Then I use Studio One now because Teddy told me. I use Studio One. So, and the thing about it is, the things that especially when he would tell you that, and then he would let you hear what he did with it, how could you not use it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's very generous like that.
Everybody knows Teddy Riley makes hit records. They know he makes smash hits. They know he worked with Michael Jackson, My Prerogative, Just Got Paid. They know the hit records. But what they don't know about Teddy is that Teddy was so gracious and giving. He would just give people drum sounds. He would say, "Yo, I'm using this keyboard. You should get this keyboard." Where most people would hide their stuff. Most people put tape on there, the name of the and like hide their sounds. Teddy was the exact opposite. He'd be like, "Yo, you need some sounds?" And it showed 2 things. One, it was a level of graciousness. And 2, also a level of confidence that he didn't feel like, if I give you my whole drum kit and all my sounds and everything, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do with it. You're going to do something else with it. And we both going to make hit records and it's going to be fine. And I think that's the part that always gets missed because Teddy did that for a lot of people. He gave to a lot of people. Even when he was in Virginia, he had the Neptunes and those guys up under him. He had a lot of people that he just gave information, and to me, it's not a mystery that all these people over time ended up being like leaders of making like up-tempo R&B party records. You know what I mean? And a lot of, if you look at that tree, a lot of that comes from Teddy Riley. So shout out to him.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between us, for even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for me, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas' boys are winning all spirits.
Play it.
These guys, they all work together.
I love all different genres.